Welcome to Real Money Talks. Real strategies from the moneymakers and the world changers that you can use to make millions, keep those millions, multiply your wealth, and build your team. Here's your host, author of 5 New York Times bestsellers, money expert on Dr. Phil, CNN, CNBC, The Street TV, Fox News, and The View, Loral Langemeier.
So I'm going to bring on a partner that is a joint venture partner. We're going to talk about joint ventures next. But Paul Miltenberger has come from one of our big tables and was a very corporate attorney. I love teasing him about that because now he's a wild entrepreneur. They are convertible. And he, at the table, met somebody who owns some Subway franchises, and together now they have created a franchise solution to help folks pick out, depending on your skill sets and your goals. They'll help you pick a franchise out, help you learn to buy a company. Paul's got a wider experience because of his background in law. So I brought him to the call just to share some of those perspectives, because some of you might want to think about buying. And many times, too, as you know, Paul, you buy some of these franchises to fit. And some of them you buy because they're brand new. So, Paul Miltenberger, welcome to our reading room.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. It's really exciting to be here and join you in the reading room with everybody. Thanks for having me.
Well, you're welcome, and we're very excited. This has been such a successful program. We have over 4,000 people every week registered to be on the call. It is an amazing flood of information and people coming, and we're happy to have you. So give just a real bottom-line background about you, a little more than I've given, and then let's talk about franchising and buying. And
you bet. Thanks so much. Yes, I was at Big Table 19 and came in, as Loral said, the big, fancy corporate lawyer. I was a partner with a national law firm, 380 lawyers in 11 cities, and figured I'd just kind of pass out my business card and meet a lot of business people for for the whole year. And instead, I, kind of caught this disease called laurelitis, and it kind of got under my skin, and I scratched it, and it wouldn't go away, but I also didn't want it to go away, so it was really cool. So as Loral has mentioned, I have actually restructured my life completely. I now am still associated with my firm, but I only do business development, and I had gone to the firm and said, I need to go out and play in the business world and develop businesses, because that's a long-term strategy that makes more sense. So it's interesting because for a number of years before I met Loral, I personally just could not figure out how to translate my skills as a trial lawyer into a concept. And so, like many people, I just couldn't envision the widget, or I couldn't come up with that really cool concept. And I was working with all these clients who had these businesses, but I couldn't figure out how to switch from my side of the desk to their side of the desk. And because I couldn't see that vision, and I didn't have the right team around me to do it, I just took no action, and I kept, comfortably moving along in my, law practice. And it really took the Big Table experience to kind of be that wild trigger that finally, clicked and made it work, and got me into a whole different way of thinking, and introduced me to some fabulous people, including my partner, who we designed a company. It's now called Franchise Success Center. If you go to franchisesuccesscenter.com, you'll see what we've designed, and we combined our interest. As Loral said, Rich was a 20-year Subway franchisee, so he had a lot of operational skills. I had a lot of franchise skills in the law side, and we actually met at a coach's training where we were being trained to be coaches for Loral, and said, she doesn't have anybody talking about franchises and how franchises could be the path for people to get into their cash machine where you can buy into that opportunity. And so we've designed it as an educational and resource program, and really put it out as a free resource to the community. It's been very, very exciting.
It has been. So, Paul, let's jump to, the folks on the call who are wondering why, I think what I want you to do, Paul, is talk about the pros and cons. I like to invest in a franchise, but I am such a little wild entrepreneur. The rules of a franchise would probably drive me nuts.
Absolutely.
So talk a little bit about the pros and the cons of franchising, just as another opportunity for all of you to think about. I like to invest in them, but I like to build my own little machines. I got to
You bet. And in fact, if I was the franchisor, I would never have Loral be my franchisee for all those same reasons. And a very good franchise company will be very selective in who they bring in, because you want to get a good fit between the franchisee and the franchisor. In a broad sense, the franchise business really combines the build, buy, and partner alternatives, because you are buying the rights to use an identifiable brand and a proven business format. That's your buy. As we like to say, we'll help you find a great model company, and then rather than have to use it to build upon, you get to buy the rights to use the model company, and better yet, they'll train you how to do it and support you in it. So for some of you who don't have that build initiative in you, you simply will go to somebody who's got a great concept in place, and you'll buy the rights to use it. You then, of course, have to build your business based upon that established business model and systems. And so Martha, next week, when she talks about all the marketing and the wonderful ideas that she has, it fits for absolutely everybody, whether you're building, whether you're buying new, buying existing. You're then going to take wherever you are and build off of it. And then finally, franchises allow you to partner in the truest sense, because you're going to partner with the successful franchisor. And so, as Loral mentioned, you really have to have the right personality as well as everything, all the skill sets to be a good franchisee. The main disadvantage for many in a franchise system is that you do have to follow the franchisor's rules. And the reason they have the rules is because they want consistency between all of their units that are out there. McDonald's is a great example. You walk into a McDonald's and you know what the French fries are supposed to taste like and what's on the menu. And if the McDonald's franchisee decides that he's got a better sauce for the Big Mac, he's not going to last very long in that system, even if his sauce is terrific. It's just not how you do it. So if you need to have true control over everything, if you need to be the boss, if you need to say, I can do it better, you're not a good franchisee. For someone, however, that can follow a system, loves to have the system, wants the operational manuals, wants all the things laid out for them, a franchise system can cut short by months, if not years, your learning process of trying to figure out how your business ought to look. Because obviously the value of a good franchise company is that the franchise company has worked out all the kinks, and they've got really a true turnkey operation available to you that you simply buy into. So the other advantage or disadvantage really on the franchise side is, to some people, the fact that you need to pay a franchise fee up front and royalty fees on an ongoing basis. Now, when you think about it, it makes sense that you do that because you're buying the privilege and buying the rights and buying the value of that system. But again, some entrepreneurial types will say, why would I pay 3, 5, 6, 12% royalties on gross sales for the life that I own that business? Just seems too expensive for me. Other people will say, boy, that's really a cheap price for having everything laid out for me and getting the training and support going forward. So it really depends, as Loral said, which is best for you, what fits for you. And that's what we do at Franchise Success Center. We look very, very carefully at your skill sets, your needs, your resources, financial and otherwise. And what we try to do is match you up with the best available franchises that are out there that we have found and match them so it's a good fit, because you can have a great opportunity, and if you're not the right franchisee, that's not a good combination. So people say, gee, what's the hottest thing? What's the best thing? What can we get into that's super? And I never answer that question because it all depends. It really, truly depends on who you are, where you're going, what your situation is. And so it's a very carefully selected matching process that gives you the best results.
So what is the difference between licensing and franchise?
Licensing.
I know what that is, but I want to just give it out to the crowd because, and I'll just give my examples. When we go out with our Millionaire Maker board game, we're going to be doing a licensing so we could get all to the States faster and just kind of keep moving. But for the, benefit of the learning of the call, what's the difference and how do people evaluate whether they should get licensed or franchise?
Yeah, it's a great question. And for some of you out there who have established cash machines, as Loral mentioned, your expansion model may very well be, I want to become the franchisor. That's how I want to expand. And sometimes franchising will be right, and sometimes licensing will be right. Sometimes some other structures are there. And we actually have a whole different process that helps you figure out how to become a franchisor. You'll see that on the website as well. The broadest, simplest example is that a franchisor has control over its franchisees in a much greater level than the licensor has over its licensees. There are a couple of factors. If you get money up front and have ongoing royalties, plus a control factor of telling people how they need to use the product or the trademark or the trade name, that is more likely to be a franchise rather than a license. A license, you're usually getting the rights to use a name or a concept, but then you're pretty much free to do what you want with that and how you put it out to the general public. Similar in concept because it can grow something quickly, but differences in terms of the regulatory obligations for the company and what exactly you're getting in return.
So who needs to be on a franchise team? So let's just say I want to do a coffee cart, or I want to do Subway, In-N-Out, some of the new ones. I love entrees to go, just because I love the concept of someone coming and let's get the food, handled in the house. There's some really good wine ones, too, isn't there? I mean, there's just some really cool ones that are out there.
There are over 3,500 franchise companies operating in the United States alone, and they account for nearly 50% of retail sales in this country right now. It's a staggering amount of business that's out there in the franchise format. The real question in terms of who needs to be on your team is the first player has got to be a consultant that helps you find the right franchise. You can go out all day long and start looking on your own on the internet, but that's just going to take you forever and a day, and you're going to make some mistakes there. And what we did was design our program so that we have a whole team that we spend our waking hours going around the country, meeting franchise companies, interviewing them, talking to them on conference calls, and really trying to identify the strongest senior management teams and the strongest business opportunities that are out there to try to provide a smaller choice for you to make, and then again we match you up. So the first thing is to how to find the right franchise concept, and there's information on the website, franchisesuccesscenter.com again, a lot of educational information there. But then you sign up for a consultation. We give you a free consultation, an interview with it to really go through it. Once you then find the opportunities that interest you the best, then there's a whole due diligence process that you go through, and you're going to want your attorney, your CPA, your advisors of any type that are involved with it, any industry-specific people, just like you would look at any opportunity. The same people that you would tap to help you build your business are the types of people that you're going to have involved in helping you evaluate a particular opportunity to see if that business is, in fact, as strong as you want it to be and provides the things that you want. And then as you get ready to open and operate your business, all of the same factors come into play. You've got to have a marketing team. You've got to have your bookkeeper. You've got to have all your operational staff in place. So it fits, the franchise world fits so well with Loral does broadly on Live Out Loud, because all the pieces that go into any cash machine are exactly the same, whether you're building it, whether you're buying an existing, or whether you're buying into a franchise. It's really the same team members that need to get put in place for you at the different steps of the process.
All right. So, do you want to give? If you want to give a link to a site or some more information that they can gather up, I'm going to keep you on the call with me. But we're going to move on to Chapter 6
and
joint ventures. But you want to give them a contact information for those that are interested?
Yes. Once again, thank you. It's franchisesuccesscenter.com. It's all run together as one word, franchisesuccesscenter.com. And when you go to our site, again, we've got lots of educational information. The free consultation link, we will kick back to you an email that will ask you to verify that you want it, and then you'll get a questionnaire. It's short and sweet, but gives us some great information that we need. We then set up a personal interview with you and spend time on the phone really getting to know who you are, what you want, what your resources are, financial and otherwise. We then go away, look at what we've got available in your area, talk to some of the franchise companies and make sure that they're available in your area, come back to you with recommendations, and then help you through that process of evaluation. And it's absolutely free and no obligation to you. The reason that is that the franchise companies who absolutely love the Live Out Loud folks we're bringing to you. Oh, my goodness, Loral, you would be so thrilled to hear the conversations we have, but it's not surprising. They pay us a commission on the franchise fee when we do place someone, and it costs you absolutely no more to use us than not use us. They recognize that that's a cost of their sales and marketing, And like I said, it makes it perfect for you because we're just out here as a value and a resource for you that's sitting there waiting to help you. So looking forward to talking with all of you.
Laurel, by the way, these comments by Carl have spiked significantly some questions, and so is Paul going to stay with us because it's right to the sweet spot of what our listeners are interested in
Absolutely.
here.
In fact, real quick, are there any questions that you want to,
Yes, absolutely.
Right,
absolutely. Let's see here. Let me just, Cheryl says, I am looking to buy a cash machine and see no one has this franchise in my area. Does that mean it is a great opportunity or that others have figured out it won't work in this market, and how do I know the difference?
Boy, what an easy question to start with. No, that's a great question, and there is no good answer at all, so I will try it anyway. You're absolutely correct that you may have caught one or the other. I think the answer will be that you will look more broadly into other areas to see if the concept is working elsewhere or has taken off elsewhere, and then you can evaluate whether there's just a gap that exists and it's not in your area yet, or whether it's something that for whatever reason your demographics or market may not work. There's usually there is a franchise business in just about any space that you're thinking about. When we do the Cash Machine Workshop, and we have literally thousands of ideas, and a lot of them are service businesses. Laurel talked about service businesses. There are some fabulous franchises that focus on service businesses, and so you're going to want to look and take a look, find that model company maybe in the franchise concept, and the answer may be you'd find it. They're in Pennsylvania, but you're in Texas, and you might say, I'm either going to become the area developer and develop Texas for them, or boy, I'm just going to get there before they get there, and I'm going to try to build it on my own. And that happens both ways.
Great. Can we do one more quick one on franchises?
You bet.
Great.
If a person follows the rules, as Paul says, and is system-oriented, what do you think is the number one reason that franchises fail?
Probably people that don't have live-out-loud education. It's really that type of an answer. In fact, the success rates for franchises compared to independent businesses, it's really staggering. A success rate, if you will, statistics compiled by the United States Department of Commerce shows that over a 10-year period, more than 90% of franchise businesses are still in business 10 years after opening, compared to independent businesses that don't have live-out-loud education, of course, that don't do anywhere near that level. The ones that don't fail are people that just don't get it. And even those that are open, they aren't often making as much as they need to because they don't get it. And by get it, I mean the live-out-loud education of working on your business, not in your business, using the team, not standing behind your cash register if you've got a retail operation, but having a manager come in and hiring business development people and working on a more global, top-level work of your business rather than wondering why, because you're standing behind your cash register, there's nobody coming in your door. So you fail when you don't put all the pieces together, you don't bring the team together, you don't do the building, leading, and protecting your wealth cycles, you don't do the cash machine with all the marketing. Buying a franchise is not a guarantee of success. If you're going to come to my website and look for a cash machine as a franchise, but think that the franchisor is just going to deliver it to you and all you got to do is show up on the turnkey, you will be one of those that fail because you just use that as the starting point, and then you have to build on top of that to really get truly successful and make it a tremendous cash machine. Great question.
Yeah, here's one more great question for you, if I could. This is from Buddy. I have inherited a family business that I think is well-suited for franchising or licensing to licensees. Can you help me?
Absolutely. In fact, Buddy, and those that have that type of structure, we have a separate educational tab on our website for franchisors. We do a full business review and analysis and help you through the whole process to find out if you are truly, as we call it, franchisable. And to do that is just put yourself on the other side. If you're a franchisee or a potential franchisee, what do you want? You want a repeatable, proven business model that can be trained. People can be trained on it. You can go out and repeat it. You don't need the founder's personal expertise. If you can have that type of a system that you can then, through operations manuals and training and ongoing support, roll out to other people, you have a potential franchise operation there, and we can certainly help you there. And in fact, we've talked with Laurel at length. Our goal is to have a number of homegrown Live Out Loud companies become the franchise companies. And I just can't imagine anything more exciting than have Live Out Loud, big table people with great businesses that we then expand nationally that are filled with Live Out Loud, big table people having the franchisees and the area development opportunities in there. Can you imagine how fun that franchise convention is? Oh, my goodness.
Well, and I also have that in, I think, too, is this gives the opportunity for a lot of people to partner. So people who are running other companies, being the core operator, there's always opportunities in the build model to partner, fixed model to partner. But clearly, in some way, those partner skill sets, the operators, maintainers of companies, really have a breadth of opportunities in front of them of what they want to pick from. So it's quite exciting.
Yes, very much so.
So I know we're heading to the finish line, so let's jump into Chapter 6, and I'm going to leave you on page 122, Chapter 6, and go back to the next slide where we talk about joint ventures for growth, because it's an example of what Paul and I have created, and I create with a lot of people. In fact, again, as you become a client at Live Out Loud, the opportunity to be on the resource list, have opportunities to be on phone calls with other folks and market your services and whatever you're doing. It's truly joint ventures, and I really know that the fastest growth for me in building this company has been in joint ventures. And as you note on the slide, it says both parties have skin in the game, which means both parties have a responsibility to do performance with each other to make it a viable business. Two or more skill sets are combined. So, for example, I love that we have the offering of franchises. We also have entities. We have personal assistants, virtual assistants, web editors. We have a whole army of resources, and those are what I call additive combined skills to help, provide more value. Both skill sets and operations are complementary, which means we're not duplicating a lot of efforts. Resulting product and service is ultimately different from what each other could do alone. So, I could keep telling you to go do this, but now you have an opportunity to actually partner. What Paul does is completely different. What I do is completely different. But together, like I said, it's complementary. It's different. He could operate totally independent. He's not relied on me. I can operate totally independent, but together we can create more and opportunities for more. Additional revenue opportunities with little cannibalization and previous business or customer base. So it's really like the bottom line, that last comment, you just make more money. The pie gets bigger when you combine additive sources to what it is you're doing. So I want you all to just stop and take some notes just in a moment. What are the at least 5 to 7 additive joint ventures that you could add to the current exact thing you're doing, not changing what you're doing, but by adding resources, added joint ventures? What else could you do, and how much more money could you produce by being in those relationships? Like, the opportunity cost has got to be enormous. In fact, I would think if you're building a $50,000 cash machine, 5 to 7 additive things could probably put another $50,000 additional to your bottom line without you doing much more work, besides being in a relationship with people who have that additive service. So think about that. As we go to the next slide, again, we want to really, the building, leading, protecting, building, leading, protecting, building, leading, protecting. You've got to get this product. It gives you the vision. It gives you the roadmap. It gives you how to build the team, how to interview the team, the strategies, the tax laws, asset protection, marketing, sales, the whole thing. So make sure you get to the website. On the next slide, Don, I'm going to kind of move through the building a cash machine. I feel like we've talked about that a lot. We've talked about the fixing. We've talked about the partnering. I know we're kind of flipping through these quickly. These are also in the book. But I want to get to Chapter 6 because I want to talk about teams. So once your plan is built, like you have the concepts and the opportunities and the strategies, you have the revenue model, you have the financials, you have the all of the pieces as it comes together. From that, you really need to sit, and I'm going to really invite you to be in a more intuitive place about this. I mean, there's a strategic part and then there's an intuitive part. But who needs to really be on your team? There's a skill set, there's an energy that you're going to bring to your cash machine that no one else is going to have, and you want to invite in complementary teammates versus hiring your like kind. And what I find one of the biggest mistakes people do is they hire in their like kind. They partner in their like kind, which means you just have more of the same skill set instead of completely diversified skill sets, which together can create more and build more. So as you really think about building the team, again, we're on page 122 in the book, finding players for each position. Another book that I'm going to invite you to read is called Good to Great, because some of the greatest metaphors in that book that I live and breathe by is getting the right seats on the bus. This is about making sure that the team you put together really fills the right seat on the bus and performs to the right seat on the bus. So it's not about just putting them on the bus. It's about getting them in the right seat. So when they activate, when they actually are in their performance, they're doing their highest, best good in it, to build the cash machine. Here's just some, steps. I always say you want to lead with energy, establish a clear vision, develop your obvious sequence and steps for achievable goals, and create fair incentives. So as the leader of the team, putting the team together, these are things that you just have to come with. Nobody wants to work or be led by somebody who doesn't have, just absolute passion and excitement about what they're doing, has a vision about what they're doing. I was in the back of the room earlier this week and with some big table folks that are just brand new to table 39 and table 40, and they're probably all excited they're listening to this program because they're like, yeah, she's bragging about us. But it was just fun, because it became this very additive thing where we took, one idea that we came up with, and then 4 or 5 of the people had an additive thing. All of a sudden, together, the skill sets just created this great cash machine idea. And, my ultimate vision is to absolutely change the world around financial literacy. The conversation about money is so backwards. And there's a lot of people who can get aligned to that vision and be in an additive way. Because in a lot of ways, Paul, that's, the vision of changing financial literacy is pretty huge. Yet, your piece of that for us is a huge additive piece that helps allow people to be part of a team and create more cash machines. So,
yeah, I appreciate it.
What would you say about building a team? Because I think it's just so critical.
Well, it is, and that's where, boy, it's tough for anybody who really hasn't rolled up their sleeves and jumped into the Live Out Loud community. It is impossible for me in a short period of time or on this call to explain how incredible the people are that you meet in the programs, whether it's the Cash Machine Workshop, the Wealth Building Blitz, the Big Table in particular, just extraordinary access, not to the instructors, which is great, and all the resource people, but the other people just like yourselves and myself who sit down at those tables and start getting to know one another. You find tremendous team members there, access to better team members than you will ever find anywhere else in a shorter period of time, and everybody's thinking the same way. So where else would you go to find your team except the people that are already, educated the same way you are? And, yeah, that's just so important. And I found that over the last 2 years, that has been perhaps the most valuable part of Live Out Loud, is the amazing people that are attracted to you, Loral, and that become active here, that we all find ways to do things and be additive to one another. Sometimes it's not specifically in a deal or a joint venture, but just in your overall ability to get past a challenge, get through a hurdle, to get through a block. There are just people all over the place waiting to help you, and it's just been extraordinary.
I would agree. So as we head on to, the next slides of getting a mentor, some of you may be saying, man, I've never really been on a team like you're talking about. Mentors is a huge place to get a teammate and be led by somebody who's already done it. And again, some of you may say, well, is this similar to a model company? It could be somebody in a model company, or it could just be somebody who is a darn good business owner, who you admire the way that they lead, you admire the way that they, lead with their values, or however you see, their expertise contributing to your growth. So a mentor could be somebody in the model company and a model person, but it also could just be somebody that leads you in a different way. It could be more spiritually based. It could be more, health-based, more family balance-based. So I'm going to invite you to really, look at who could be a mentor for you in this area of building a team. Yes, we have all these tactics, and we want to, get you, not reinventing the wheel and having that certainty. You can't learn how to run a business well, from someone who's never achieved the success in their own life. So you want these people. I always have mentors, and many of them aren't even in the same, vertical market that I'm in. They don't even really understand my business, and it's not about that. It's about just overall, challenges and growth and obstacles that you come up with, and things that you want a second opinion on. How did they handle this? How did they handle this? Regardless of the model, we're talking about experience of leadership. Again, we're in the team section, chapter 6 of the book, and this is really about putting that right team together, the right people on the bus to make sure that your vision gets met. As you move to the next slide, the organization, these are some areas you want to be looking at to build your team over time. Many parts of this, again, you can put a partner in here for, say, finance, accounting, operations, some management. You can put partners in there. You can partner with marketing and sales folks. So, it depends on you and your skill set, but you got to fill in the team. And ultimately, if you're building a 6-figure, 7-figure cash machine, all of these areas need to be built in. You really need to build a solid, foundation for the team and have them come with experience. There's a model also that would suggest, well, I'm going to grow my people up, and then they can take the seat. I'll tell you the risk in that, because I've lived through it many times, is that their experience, like you're moving so fast that there's not enough time for them to get the experience they need. You don't have 2 to 5 years for them to get the experience and be the expert in the area. So the risk in that model is that you'll outgrow them, and then they'll get bosses. Now, get them a different seat on the bus, get them the right seat on the bus. I at all costs, try not to lose my people because they're not on the right seat on the bus. Find a different seat, expand the seat, and find a role to really maximize, optimize people's positions and what they can do. Paul, what would you want to say about this whole organizational piece? Is there any books that you've read that can help people put their organization together? I mean, I know an exercise I always love to say, build your organization without you, so you don't build yourself a job and you're building, a real business structure around you. But what advice would you give to people that are really building these organizations? You see it on the franchise side all the time.
Yeah, I think that, and you hit on a couple points. One, you have to realize the people that you have are often not the people that are going to play at the next level with you, and they may very well be able to play a different role, but not that major role. And that becomes just a huge challenge and often a real downfall for a lot of people who think that the 2 or 3 people that you start with have to be there at step 2 and step 3 and at the end. And that will be one of your biggest downfalls of making sure that happens if that's what you get stuck with. You can have loyalty, but you have to really be realistic as the leader that you're making the right moves with your team. I think Gerber's E-Myth Revisited is probably a great book for anybody, whether you're building or buying, making sure that you fill in all your organizational boxes and it not be you. And that's one thing we've kind of glossed over a bit talking team, and it seems obvious, but maybe it's not to everyone listening. The team can't be you. You can't be your own teammate and fill 12 boxes in your org chart, because you will then be like that person at the cash register that I mentioned who stands there and wonders why nobody's coming in their store. Well, it's because nobody's, running the store while somebody else is out, beating the bushes and doing all the marketing activities that are needed. And you say, well, I can't afford to hire those people. And the answer is, well, of course you can't, because you're not driving the business in, because you're not taking the effort and spending the money and bringing the team in. So it's a vicious, vicious circle unless you fill the org chart with other people and fill them with the right people. As you said, the right people on the right seats on your bus.
Yep. So let's see. There's so many things we could talk about. The next 4 weeks, we have so much in store for you. We've got marketing, we've got sales, we've got a pure Q&A, so I want you to gather up all your questions. I want you to take a few polls right now, Dawn. So we really, we need to poll how much money people have made. What is the amount of cash you have made in the different timelines? So we can keep track with you. So,
Loral, before we do that, would you be willing to take a few more questions? I'm just getting slammed here with questions.
I sure will. But before we do those questions, I'm going to give the word of the week, the phrase of the week. Right? Ready? Is I have to do Tahoe team. And the reason is this team in Tahoe have put an enormous amount of work into making what just occurred in the opening of our facility happen. So Tahoe team is the word of the week.
That's
You just
cool.
made that up, didn't you, Loral?
I did just make that up. I was going to do something different. Do something different, and I had a word, and I kept looking at it, and I thought, that's not what this week's about. And so, yeah, I just kind of time dated us, but I'll tell you, it's just been an enormous week of opening our own table facility for everyone who wants to really, really, like one of the clients said this week, I'm getting an MBA in finance, and I said, no, you're getting a PhD. So, on with questions.
Okay, fantastic. John and Sharon from San Antonio write, what if my partner, husband, so apparently Sharon was typing here, right, and I cannot agree on the total plan. We agree on the plan, but not the strategies and the tactics.
Well, first of all, I would go to your model company and I would get a little, more opinions about it. Like, who has the experience? Where has the success been done? What I would anticipate is that one of you is more analytical and wants to plan a little more, and the other one wants to just shoot from the hip and go, which is a little more my style of let's go out and see what the marketplace wants, then we'll back into a plan a little and put all the dot the I's and cross the T's. So I would get a neutral additional party. I'd learn that and kind of see what your model companies who's already gone before you. Get into our coaching. Let your coach moderate or mediate that. But you're probably going to have to get more opinions to really see where is the success. This is not something to be right about or look good about. This is about doing it right because the business makes sense and you're going to get the cash fast. So I would get more bodies, more opinions, more people involved. Paul, is there anything you'd answer that differently with?
Yeah, well, there's a whole different way that they might go because a lot of times business partners and husbands, wives, significant others come in thinking they have to do it together. And sometimes you have to reevaluate that conclusion and assumption. It may be that the two of you should go in different directions and develop separate, different cash machines that may be complementary, may not be. You two may not be the right team members together. And so it's entirely possible that you'll each take your skill sets, go find the right combinations. You'll look for people that aren't your like kind to bring to your respective teams. And it may be, more often than not, you end up with a way to do it together. But some people, it's better to go and do separate stuff.
Great, thank you. Another strategy question. I'm sorry, Laura?
Go ahead, that's good.
Okay, another strategy question here from Jennifer in New York City. I want to make money now. I can think of so many strategies. I don't know where to start. It is paralyzing. How do I decide where to put my energy first?
Coach.
How are you making the most? What are you doing right now to make money? And I would do, again, if it's all about fast cash, it's what is the fastest service-based thing you can do to provide value to someone else very quickly that's easy to get customers. You don't have to do it forever, but it is about making money to help move you and have you liquidity, like the cash just to move to the next level. So what are you doing now to make some money, and how can you translate that immediately to some revenue? Somebody else is already paying for it and making money. So let's go.
Yeah, and Jennifer, I would suggest that you immediately, because I'm sure you're not in there the way your question is framed, be immediately into our Wealth Acceleration Coaching Program, because that's what a cash machine coach is going to do for you, is help you weed through all of those things that are bombarding you, all those things that are paralyzing you. That's what we work on, is we work through why they're paralyzing you, break it down, and as Loral said, find that fastest path to cash that's in there. You just need some help. And so your first team member is your Live Out Loud coach, and then you'll move from there.
Fantastic. Robert writes, I am at the beginning stages of building a team for my new business. I think I might not be very good at building team and picking the right people. Do I need to get better, or should I just hire someone to hire for me?
Both. You have got to get better. The bigger this game gets, the more people are going to count on you to lead your vision and lead what you're up to. And in the meantime, you can use recruiters. You can use, folks who really know how to interview well. You can use HR, outsourced consulting groups to help you hire. There's a whole army of people who know how to get hiring done in a very specific way. Do not let them just do it. So if you're going to learn it, don't let them just do it on the fly. Get involved. Be next to them, watch the interview process, write down the questions, get copies of the questions, understand the laws. You can work with an employment attorney on the laws of your states because, boy, you don't want to do that one wrong. So I would let someone else lead that has more expertise, but go ahead sit side by side to learn those skills. Not that you're going to jump in and overdo it, but there's going to be times where you're just going to have to cut through all of it and just get it done. So it's both. I would use someone else, so the first couple times you kind of mitigate the risk of what you're doing. And this one you got to learn.
There's another good question here on franchises. Do all franchises have ongoing royalty fees?
Paul, you're up.
Yeah, they do as far as I know. I haven't found one that doesn't. And the reason that they do is that the ongoing royalty fee is what provides the franchisor, which is the franchise company, with the funds that they need in order to provide the ongoing support that you want from the system. So the initial franchise fee, the upfront fee, provides the sales and marketing to get the folks, into the system and provides the initial capital to get the operation moving forward. The ongoing royalties that you're really joined at the hip with the franchisor are, because everybody wants to increase those revenues, that's what drives the franchisor's ongoing support team for you. So all of the training, all the ongoing support, all the compliance issues, the in-house senior staff, that all gets paid for out of the royalties, and so that's how a franchise company makes its money.
All right. So, we are over our hour, and I hate to do this, so gather up those questions, and Dawn, I'm going to ask you to kind of work with the team to gather those questions, gather our revenue numbers for the teams, and again, we're going to do marketing, we're going to do sales. I want you to drive, get that cash going, and in a few weeks, we're going to be on a Q&A for the whole hour. So get to the liveoutloud.com/reading room, get your building, leading, protecting. Email Amy if you want to be part of the radio tour that's across the country. Call your strategist. The other thing going on, we have selected the makeovers. So week 5, 6, and 7, we will also be doing makeovers on clients coming up. So watch that in action. It's going to be very fun to do our makeovers, see what changes we would make, because there are going to be tips all over the place for you. So if you have not talked to your strategist this week, get back to them and commit to moving ahead. Cash Machine Workshop's coming up in Washington, D.C. The big tables, we have 4 more at our current price. In December, the price goes up. So September, we have 2 tables. October, we have 2 tables. You've got to take a seat if you're really going to play this game. So call your strategist at 8777-GET-LOL. Email your strategist at strategy@liveoutloud.com and come join us. So the last slide, I will let you sit up on the screen as you complete, Don, which talks more about our Cash Machine Workshop and how they can get some specials on that. So while that screen's up, why don't you give some completion to our call? And thank you all. Look forward, and thank you, Paul, very much for joining.
Laurel,
great to have your brilliance.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Don, you're fabulous here. Laurel, it's always a pleasure. Thank you very, very much.
Well, thank you, Loral Langemeier, and special guest, Paul Miltenberger. That was a great call, and I've got to say, Paul, you truly exemplify what it's about to give back in this community. You're an amazing guy. So thank you so much. And franchisesuccesscenter.com is where you could, you bet, just where you can send some questions to Paul, and he can help all of you who are interested in the franchise option.
Thanks for listening to the Real Money Talks podcast. Your host has been Loral Langemeier, author of 5 New York Times bestsellers, money expert on Dr. Phil, CNN, CNBC, The Street TV, Fox News, and The View. Want to learn more about off-Wall Street investing, tax strategies, and multi-million-dollar business strategies? Visit liveoutloud.com/podcast for past episodes, show notes, and resources. For some special wealth-building gifts only for Loral's podcast listeners, visit liveoutloud.com/podcast gifts. Do you have a burning question for Loral? Visit askloral.com to submit your question, and it may just be covered on a podcast episode. So stay tuned and be sure to subscribe to get new episodes every week.